As Lauren Blank's 16th birthday draws closer, her grandfather, Ron Petrillo, frantically tried to finish his gift for his granddaughter. He had 10 years to work on it, but it still wasn't finished. The idea for this gift had occurred to him when Lauren was only 2 years old. Finally, the time had come to present her this gift of her life. Ron wondered if he had made the right choice. Should he have listened to others and just bought his granddaughter a car? Rob wouldn't get an answer to this question until Lauren opened the gift. Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Lauren was a normal teenager, 15 years old at the time. She lived in a small town and had a great time. She liked to be called Ren and grew up in Keller, Texas, USA. This town had about 45,000 inhabitants. Ren had a good group of friends there and also liked to spend time with her family. As she grew up, her simple morals and values were only confirmed. For her 16th birthday, Ren had asked for a small dinner with her family and friends. She also specifically asked everyone not to buy her gifts. She was happy with their company. When Ren told her grandfather Rob about this idea, he knew it was the right time to give her his long-planned gift. He had been working on it for years, but found it difficult to determine when to hand it over. Now that Ren was acting so grown-up, he knew her 16th birthday dinner was the right time. He immediately called Ren to let them know he would be there and began putting the finishing touches on his project. Ron was now 72 years old, and he knew that the end of his long and full life was approaching. Before the inevitable happened, the devoted grandfather knew he had to give Ren the gift in person and soon. Now that Ren turned 16, Ron felt she had reached the age to truly appreciate the gift he'd put so much time into. He knew his granddaughter might not remember all the adventures they had when she was younger, and this gift would be the perfect way to remind her. The loving grandpa knew in his heart that this was the best birthday present he would ever give Ren. Because he had always kept the whole idea a secret, even Ren's parents began to have doubts. Would a 16-year-old young lady be able to understand the value of this gift? Wouldn't she be disappointed? Ron worried that his gift might not be well understood. When Ron started the project, he knew there was a chance he wouldn't give it to his granddaughter. He believed she had to earn it. Fortunately, the time had finally come. Ron watched Lauren grow into a thoughtful, intelligent, and empathetic girl. She studied hard, valued her family, and had all the right values. Of course, her grandfather couldn't be more proud of his beloved granddaughter. He was very happy that he had kept the gift a secret. If she had known about the precious gift she would receive, her behavior might change. Ron put the finishing touches on the gift and started getting ready for Ren's 16th birthday. The entire dinner went like a blur for Ron, who was quite nervous about finally handing his life's work to Ren. He barely ate and waited anxiously for Ren to cut her homemade birthday cake. Finally, he could give his project to her. After blowing out the candles and cutting the cake, it was time for the presents. Ron watched Ren receive one expensive gift after another and began to feel more and more insecure. Would Ren be too young for this simple but thoughtful gift? Well, it was time to find out. He had wrapped the present in brown paper with a bow around it. Ren knew right away that this was her grandfather's present. She recognized his gift wrap. That's how he wrapped her presents since she was a baby. Ren carefully opened the present and found 3 notebooks. Each had a label that read, Lauren Book 1, Lauren Book 2, and Lauren Book 3. Ron watched his granddaughter's face change from excitement to confusion and curiosity. The notebooks didn't fit right together, and they were basically simple spiral notebooks. You could tell they were old already. Ron held his breath as he watched his granddaughter open the notebooks. When she read the first page, he knew he'd made the right decision. On the inside of the notebook was something written by her grandfather. It read, "Hi Lauren, I just started this so one day you will be reading this for fun. It will be a day-to-day report of you and me." The first message was written by Ron on February 13, 2003, when Ren was only 2 years old. Now 16 years later, the teen felt a surge of emotions. Tears came to her eyes and her grandfather's words grew blurry. This was the most precious gift she had ever received. Ron mentioned in the notebook that he was concerned that his beloved granddaughter might not remember all the adventures they had gone through together. That is why he had decided to write down everything they had experienced together. The 16-year-old gave her grandfather a big hug and thanked him profusely for his wonderful gift. Her reaction was exactly as Ron had hoped. Ron now also had tears in his eyes. Ren read aloud from the notebook she had for the whole family to hear. As she read her grandfather's words, just about everyone started to cry. It was an emotional moment. It was clear that Ron loved Ren very much. In the first notebook, Ron told how 2-year-old Ren was completely captivated by a new game that he had made up himself. He had given this game the name See Yeah. The game came down to Grandpa doing as many crazy things as possible to make Ren laugh. As Ren read her grandfather's notebook, the memories came back to her. As you can imagine, it was hard for everyone not to cry reading Ron's heartfelt words. Ren was most affected by it all and continued to hug her grandfather. She was very sorry that she had less time to spend together lately. Ren was very emotional that night, but despite everything, she couldn't stop reading the stories from her childhood. It was especially nice to read it from her grandfather's perspective. As she continued to read, more and more memories came flooding back, and she kept on crying. Fortunately, they were tears of happiness. He wrote, among other things, this text: "One of your favorite things is that I press the button on your clock and then do my crazy dance. You sat in your bed and said, 'Daddy.' I kept dancing, falling, hitting the wall and spinning like an uncoordinated ballerina. You just kept smiling." At that moment, little Ren promised that she would always call her grandfather Papa. Everyone in the room had to shed a tear, Ren and Ron most of all. She had always loved her grandfather, but this gift made her appreciate him even more. While reading all the stories, she relived her entire childhood. She realized how devoted her grandfather was and that he was always there for her. The simple pages in a spiral notebook had changed her life forever. She didn't know how to thank her grandfather for this gift, not only because he had always cared for her, but also because he had gone to such lengths to capture these memories. It was undoubtedly the best gift she could have ever received. The next day, Ren took pictures of her present and shared it on social media. The story and photos went viral. She received more than 160,000 responses, and thousands of people contacted her about this story. Ren said she received a lot of messages from peers who wished they had such a good relationship with their grandfather or grandmother. It was an eye-opener for many to spend more time with their grandparents. Finally, Ren told her that she would never get a present more beautiful than this one from her grandfather.